What made you decide to go to Toronto Film School?
Well, I guess it was a different environment, something I wanted to do since I was a child. While I was in college, I wasn't too sure about my direction for the future, but then I sat down one day and really explored what I had in my mind, and this is what felt like the best plan of action for me at the time. So this is where I decided to come, and so far I haven't regretted a minute of it.
When did you first develop an interest in film?
I would say it was around the age of 9. I remember being at home and I was watching The Godfather. It was the first time I actually got to see the film, and I realized how much magic was in this film. I would say the experience of it created something for me. It made me realize that imagination doesn't only have to be in a dream, but that you actually can get up every day and create this wonderful world for everybody to see.
What first drove you towards the industry?
Well, again, I make a lot of reference, but I would say Marlon Brando's performance to me was incredible. I started to look back at like the way he acted and what he did for the film, and how the direction of the director in this film was. It made me think one day maybe I could do something like that.
What motivated you to come to Toronto from Montreal?
Well, in Montreal, you're pretty labeled to do only one thing. You know, you're supposed to go to college and then university, and everybody stays in the same city. I've always had more of an open spirited. I want to travel. I want to go around the world, see the world. I thought Toronto could be my first stop.
Do you plan to go anywhere after film school?
Yeah, I'd like to go maybe a little west, maybe Vancouver, and then dabble my luck maybe in the States. I would love to see New York or even Florida, California. Who knows? Europe's the big idea, but we'll see.
You said you were in college. What courses were you taking there?
Studied communications, arts, media, and theater.
Did any of that have to do with film?
Yeah, mostly half the program I would say had to do with that. We worked with actors, were introduced to Final Cut, worked with cameras, different Panasonic, from 60D, 7Ds. We touched a bit about everything, but it was lacking a bit of a program. It's a basic introduction, what you would learn here at Toronto in the first term, we spend by learning over there in 2 years.
Have you made any films before you came to Toronto Film School?
I did. I've shot 2 major productions, 2 short films, The Diary of a Suicidal Teen, and there was a combined project of 4 films that were called A Day in the City.
Really? Well, since you've been in Toronto Film School, have you been looking back at some of the films you made in college? And if you have, what has been your reaction to them?
I've looked back a lot on those films. I think, especially the movie A Day in the City, which represents every form of filmmaking. It's a good idea if you know a bit about Jim Jarmusch's work, A Night on Earth. It resembles a lot of the idea that's behind that, trying to explore not only one location or one art, but more combined art as what it really is meant to be.
What do you think is your favorite film?
God, how many times do we get that question asked? Always a hard one to answer. I guess if I go back, I'd say probably The Breakfast Club for me.
From The Breakfast Club, what do you say you like the most?
The hilarious part about that is because I associate The Breakfast Club often to the movie Dazed and Confused. And even though 2 different types of movie, 2 different genres, to me they both fit the profile of the teen trying to find himself. And I think whether we're a child or an adult, we all individually always try to find ourselves. So I could really connect myself to the characters in both these films. What I love about these 2 films is that, for example, in The Breakfast Club, of Children of the 80s, the first introduction to when children start to seclude themselves into groups and define who's who. And then Dazed and Confused, you also have the beginning of this, but more the idea that everybody, no matter who you were, whether you were a nerd, a jock, just a popular girl, everybody could be together because it was always an endless party just trying to continue it.
So, John, what do you think your dream job is in the film industry?
Dream job for me would be to be the boss. So I would say a producer, and directing would be the passion.
Really? So, who would you say is your favorite director?
The tough question. I would say John Hughes. Definitely all his work for me is marked every way I see films today. I mean, he just had a way to connect with people.
Could you go into detail for me on how you think you would connect with people?
Well, I remember this interview I once saw of John talking about his work with the Breakfast Club, and what amazed me on the interview was that everybody who had worked on the film said, wow, my experience with this man was out of the extraordinary. All demanding and praying that one day they could work for him again, just because he had that certain talent that he could communicate with you, make you feel at ease, no matter whether you were a gaffer or the actor or even anybody working in any position on the film. He would just be capable to put you in that feeling that you were part of his family.
What do you plan to bring to the industry that is different from other directors, that is uniquely yours?
Okay. I would say that probably I've always been a very dramatic person, and I think that like every movie I've done has touched dramatically like the aspect of that. But what I try to do that's a little different than, I mean, I've seen plenty of dramatic films that are like always shot in the same perspective or the same way. What I'm trying to do is really captivate my audience to a deeper and darker side of it, not just like the plain old like, oh, something bad happened to me in my life, now I gotta like try to fix it, or for the love of my life to finally come to me. I'm trying to like push it much more on a scale that you could say would be more of a darker dramatic scene.
Why did you decide on Toronto Film School?
My decision to come to film school was not easy. Originally, my mom wanted me to become a doctor, and my dad wanted me to be an engineer. I tried those out for a while, but it didn't really work out for me. It just wasn't me. And then I realized I wanted to help people, but I can help a lot more people through inspiring other people. I mean, like, if I became a doctor, I could only help so many people. But if I make a film that makes the next generation of doctors, then I'm helping more people than I could ever do on my own.
So, who is Chris?
Who am I? That's a good question. I don't know 100% myself, but I'm guessing he's a pretty good guy who's going for something that he loves and enjoys.
So, do your parents support you?
Oh, 100%. I think the kicker for my parents was actually getting into this school. Once they saw the reaction that people had of the work that I had done, they truly saw that this was a passion of mine, and it would definitely be something that I'm good at, and it is something I'm good at.
When did it come to you that this is your dream, that this is the one thing you want to do with your life?
It came after my interest in the tech crew at the high school that I used to attend. It came when I actually made my first video. It was an intro to the morning announcements. It was actually a stop motion video, and after that, I definitely knew what I was going to do, and that was fun. And from there, it just took off.
What would you say your favorite movie is?
Oh, easy. Hannah. It was so raw.
Really, over all the years, Hannah, 2011, stood out for you the most?
I used to have two favorite movies. One was for script and story-wise, and that was Children of Men. The second was for eye candy. That was Avatar. But once I saw Hannah, honestly, I couldn't sit still. Every single time I saw something amazing, which was very often, I just had to be like, yes, it was the best. It was so raw.
Who would you say your favorite director is?
Honestly, I don't have a favorite director, because it's not the director who makes the film, it's the crew. And yes, the director defines what's on that film and how it looks and all that, but at the end of the day, it's the crew who makes it happen. My favorite style would have to be a cross between the director of the Bourne series and James Cameron.
What do you think of the Oscars?
I don't look as an Oscar as the end-all and the be-all. I look at it as a simple credit for where credit is due. Awards are great for personal recognition. And I don't mean it in terms of personal advertising. I mean, when you're working in the film industry, credit doesn't come immediately. I mean, you work hard, you work for days, you work for months. And I think that if you work hard enough and you get an award, the applause is enough. I mean, you get chills inside, you think, holy crap, I've done something that everybody recognizes, and when they see me on the street, they'll know exactly who I am because of my actions.
Why did you choose Toronto Film School?
I chose this school because of its location and because of how good it is. Originally, I was either going to go to the Pavey Institute of Technology in Vancouver for audio engineering, or I was going to go to the film school, I forget what it's called, in Vancouver. However, living expenses and tuition were a little bit much. So then I was considering looking at some film schools in the States, but then one day up came Toronto Film School, and I asked around about the reputation, and I heard a lot of good things. So I thought, hey, I'll give it a try.
Have any of the teachers been specifically outstanding to you, stood out, since you've been going to Toronto Film School?
Oh, I'd have to say almost every single teacher here has been outstanding. I think the commitment that they put to their students is amazing. I never in my entire life have I had so many favorite teachers at the same time.
Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years?
In 5 or 10 years, I don't have a lot of expectations for being in a very high position because I know the amount of work that goes into stuff like that. However, ideally, I would like to see myself as either a head of a department, director of photography, cinematographer, and I guess in the best case, director.
In the future, do you see yourself as one of those rich Hollywood filmmakers?
I'm not in the film industry for money. Money is the last thing on my mind. All the sets that I've been on are voluntary. I mean, I've been offered to be paid and I've turned it down because I knew that if I turned it down, it would make the production that much better. So honestly, for me, money is just, hey, it's there. But at the same time, it is, if I don't have enough of it, then it is a concern.
So in your opinion, money is not the route to happiness?
No, I'd say the route to happiness would be doing something that you absolutely love, and at the end of the day, knowing that you've done all that you could.